The vast darkness of space held many secrets, but nothing could have prepared the Galactic Council for their first true encounter with humans. It began on a quiet Tuesday, when the research vessel Stargazer drifted near the outer rim of the Centauri sector. Captain Michael Roberts sat in his command chair, his weathered hands gripping the control panel with a casual confidence that would later become legendary. He was different from the typical space explorer, not because of any extraordinary physical prowess, but because of something far more dangerous: human adaptability. The ship's sensors picked up an unusual energy signature. Most captains would have called for backup or waited for instructions. Michael did neither. He leaned forward, a spark of curiosity burning in his eyes. "Bring us closer," he told his navigation officer, a simple command that would change the course of galactic history. What the Stargazer discovered was a massive alien research station. The station belonged to the Krell, a highly advanced species known for their technological superiority and cold, calculated approach to exploration. They had spent centuries documenting and studying lesser species, believing themselves to be the ultimate form of intelligent life in the universe. They were wrong. As the Stargazer approached, the Krell communication systems activated. A holographic transmission appeared on the bridge, a towering, insectoid creature with multiple eyes and a series of clicking mandibles. "Unidentified vessel," the translation matrix rendered the alien's communication, "You are entering restricted space. Prepare for immediate detention and processing." Michael Roberts did something that would become a defining characteristic of human interaction with alien civilizations. He smiled. "Hello there," he responded, his voice calm and almost friendly. "We're just passing through and noticed your impressive station. Mind if we take a closer look?" The Krell communication officer was confused. No species had ever responded with such casual disregard for their threats. Protocols dictated immediate defensive measures, but something about the human's demeanor was unsettling. What the Krell didn't know was that humans possessed a unique combination of traits that made them extraordinary. Where other species saw boundaries, humans saw challenges. Where others calculated risks, humans improvised. Where others hesitated, humans acted. Beneath the calm exterior of the Stargazer, a complex series of technological adaptations were already in motion. The ship's AI, a marvel of human engineering, was analyzing the Krell station systems, finding vulnerabilities, creating contingency plans, all within milliseconds. "We're detecting multiple weapon systems," reported Sarah, the ship's tactical officer. Her tone was not one of fear, but of professional assessment. Michael nodded. "Keep our defensive shields at minimal power. Let's see what they do." The Krell were growing increasingly agitated. Their massive weapon systems began to charge, massive energy cannons that could obliterate most known spacecraft in seconds. To them, this was a standard procedure for dealing with potential intruders. But humans were not like other species. Just as the Krell prepared to fire, Michael's hand moved almost imperceptibly. A small command was sent, and the Stargazer's unique quantum disruption field activated. It was a technology so advanced that it wasn't even in most galactic databases, a human innovation that could temporarily neutralize electronic systems. The Krell station went dark. Complete silence. No alarms. No weapon systems. Nothing. "Interesting," Michael muttered, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. What happened next would become the first of many legends about human technological and psychological warfare. The Krell, who had spent centuries believing themselves to be the most advanced species in the galaxy, had just encountered something entirely unexpected. Humans. A species that didn't just adapt, they transformed. A species that didn't just explore, they challenged. A species that didn't just survive, they conquered. And this was just the beginning. As the Stargazer's systems began to probe the now-disabled Krell station, Michael Roberts knew that this moment would be remembered. Not as a military victory, but as a demonstration of something far more powerful: human potential. The galaxy would never be the same again. The Krell were growing increasingly agitated. Their massive weapon systems began to charge, massive energy cannons that could obliterate most known spacecraft in seconds. To them, this was a standard procedure for dealing with potential intruders. But humans were not like other species. Just as the Krell prepared to fire, Michael's hand moved almost imperceptibly. A small command was sent, and the Stargazer's unique quantum disruption field activated. It was a technology so advanced that it wasn't even in most galactic databases, a human innovation that could temporarily neutralize electronic systems. The Krell station went dark. Complete silence. No alarms. No weapon systems. Nothing. Interesting, Michael muttered, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. What happened next would become the first of many legends about human technological and psychological warfare. The Krell, who had spent centuries believing themselves to be the most advanced species in the galaxy, had just encountered something entirely unexpected. Humans. A species that didn't just adapt, they transformed. A species that didn't just explore, they challenged. A species that didn't just survive, they conquered. And this was just the beginning. As the Stargazer's systems began to probe the now-disabled Krell station, Michael Roberts knew that this moment would be remembered. Not as a military victory, but as a demonstration of something far more powerful: human potential. The galaxy would never be the same again. The news of the Stargazer's encounter with the Krell spread through the Galactic Council like wildfire. What should have been a routine first contact had turned into something entirely unexpected. In the Grand Council chamber, representatives from over 50 advanced civilizations gathered. Holographic displays flickered with data from the incident, showing how a single human vessel had completely disabled the most secure Krell research station in 3 sectors. Ambassador Elena Peterson stood alone, representing Earth. She was neither imposing nor aggressive, which made the other species even more nervous. Her simple blue uniform and calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the elaborate, ornate attire of the alien diplomats. "We demand an explanation," growled Corax, the Andromeda Cluster's senior representative. His tentacle-like appendages trembled with barely contained anger. How did a single human vessel neutralize a Krell research station? Elena smiled. It was not a smile of triumph, but of simple understanding. "Technology," she said simply. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Most species expected a complex explanation, detailed technical specifications, or a lengthy defense. Instead, she had given them one word. The Quantum Archives, a collective of data-driven species, began analyzing the incident. Their initial findings were troubling. The human vessel had used a quantum disruption field, a technology so advanced that it seemed to break several known laws of physics. What made humans truly terrifying was not just their technology, but their approach to problem-solving. Where other species saw limitations, humans saw opportunities. Where others calculated risks for decades, humans acted in moments. Back on the Stargazer, Captain Michael Roberts was reviewing the data from their encounter. The ship's advanced AI, which they called ARIA, Advanced Responsive Intelligence Assistant, was compiling a comprehensive report. "Interesting," Michael muttered, studying the Krell station's schematics. They never expected someone to simply turn them off. ARIA's holographic interface flickered to life. The Krell's defensive systems were designed with a linear threat assessment protocol. They could not comprehend a non-linear intervention. This was the core of human innovation. Unpredictability. The Galactic Council's emergency session continued. Ambassador Peterson remained calm, answering questions with a precision that was both informative and deliberately vague. "Our intention was peaceful exploration," she stated. "The quantum disruption was a defensive measure, activated when we detected potential hostile intent." The Zoran delegate, a crystalline being of immense computational power, challenged her. You disabled an entire research station with a single technological intervention. This suggests preparation, not spontaneity. Elena's response was measured. Preparation is not aggression. It is intelligence. The Krell were not a species accustomed to defeat. For millennia, they had dominated technological research across multiple star systems. Their research stations were considered impenetrable, their scientific capabilities unmatched. The incident with the human vessel Stargazer challenged everything they believed about galactic superiority. Deep within their primary research complex on the frozen moon of Zircon, a council of Krell's senior researchers gathered. Their communication was a complex series of electromagnetic pulses and chemical exchanges, a language no other species could fully comprehend. The human intervention was not random, declared Chief Researcher Voke, his bioluminescent skin pulsing with agitation. It was a calculated demonstration of capabilities. Holographic displays showed multiple angles of the Stargazer's encounter with their research station. Each replay revealed something new, a detail that made the Krell increasingly uncomfortable. The humans had done more than simply disable their systems. They had done so with an almost casual efficiency that suggested they were holding back. On Earth, things were equally tense. The Global Space Exploration Command was in constant session. Unlike the rigid hierarchical structures of other alien civilizations, humans had developed a unique approach to strategic planning, collaborative problem-solving that allowed for rapid adaptation. Dr. Rachel Williams, the lead strategic analyst, was reviewing the data from the Stargazer's mission. Her team represented a cross-section of human expertise, engineers, psychologists, mathematicians, and former military strategists. "They're studying us as much as we're studying them," Rachel muttered, studying the complex network of interstellar communications. Arya, the Stargazer's AI, had been continuously transmitting data. But it was doing something more, it was learning. Each interaction, each piece of alien technology it encountered became part of its evolving understanding. The Krell's response was predictable to human analysts. They would gather information, assess threats, and develop a strategic approach. What they didn't realize was that humans operated differently. Humans didn't just react to threats. They anticipated them. They prepared for multiple scenarios simultaneously. Back on the Stargazer, Captain Michael Roberts was reviewing potential contingency plans. His approach was unlike traditional military strategies. Instead of preparing for a single potential conflict, he was developing a flexible framework that could adapt to multiple unknown variables. "Arya," he called out, "run scenario simulations. I want to know every possible way the Krell might respond." The AI's holographic interface displayed multiple probability trees, each branching into increasingly complex potential interactions. Where other species saw complexity as a challenge, humans saw it as an opportunity for innovation. The Galactic Council was watching. Representatives from various star systems were analyzing every piece of data from the human Krell encounter. What they saw both fascinated and terrified them. The Zoran delegate, a being of pure energy and advanced computational power, made an unprecedented recommendation. "We must understand the human capacity for technological adaptation." Unbeknownst to most of the galaxy, humans had been preparing for interstellar interactions for decades. Their space exploration programs were not just about discovery, they were about preparation. Every mission was a test. Every encounter was a learning opportunity. The quantum disruption field used by the Stargazer was just the tip of the technological iceberg. Human researchers had been developing technologies that challenged the fundamental understanding of physics, communication, and interaction. On Zircon, the Krell were making their own preparations. They began developing countermeasures, studying the quantum disruption technology, trying to understand its principles. But they were already behind. Humans had a saying, "By the time you understand our current technology, will be 3 generations ahead. The galaxy was about to learn just how true that statement could be. As communication networks buzzed with speculation and fear, one thing became increasingly clear: humans were not just another species to be categorized or understood. They were a force of nature. Unpredictable. Innovative. Unstoppable. The Andromeda conflict arrived without warning. What began as a border dispute between the Krell and the Zoran collective quickly escalated into a potential galactic war. Neither side expected humans to become the pivotal factor. Captain Michael Roberts received the emergency transmission aboard the Stargazer. The holographic display showed a battlefield of immense proportions, massive energy weapons exchanging fire, thousands of ships maneuvering in complex patterns of destruction. "Aria," Michael called out, "analyze the conflict parameters." The AI's response was instantaneous. Current engagement shows a 94.6% probability of mutual destruction. No diplomatic resolution appears viable. Most species would have withdrawn. Stayed neutral. Observed from a safe distance. Humans did something else entirely. The Stargazer moved forward, cutting through the battlefield with a precision that defied conventional warfare strategies. Its quantum disruption technology was about to be tested in actual combat conditions. What happened next would become a legendary moment in galactic history. The ship positioned itself between the two warring factions. Not as a peacekeeping vessel. Not as a diplomatic intervention. But as a technological wildcard that nobody could predict. Aria began broadcasting on all communication frequencies. Not a warning. Not a threat. Simply data. The quantum disruption field expanded, creating a massive electromagnetic bubble that temporarily neutralized weapon systems across both fleets. Ships went dark. Weapon ports froze. Communication networks collapsed. Complete silence. The Krell commander stared in disbelief. The Zoran fleet's lead strategist couldn't comprehend what had just occurred. An unknown human vessel had just shut down an entire battlefield without firing a single weapon. Back on Earth, the Global Space Exploration Command watched the live feed. Dr. Rachel Williams noted something fascinating: the humans hadn't chosen a side. They had simply interrupted. "It's not about winning," she explained to her team. "It's about changing the entire framework of the conflict." Humans understood something fundamental that other species missed. Conflict was not just about military might. It was about perception, adaptation, and the ability to rewrite the rules of engagement. The Stargazer's intervention lasted precisely 17 minutes and 42 seconds. When system power began to return, both the Krell and Zoran fleets found themselves in a state of complete confusion. Their weapons were offline. Their communication networks reset. Their battle strategies rendered obsolete. And in the center of it all, a single human vessel remained, calm, unmoving, almost casual in its unprecedented display of technological superiority. Captain Michael Roberts made no dramatic speeches. He simply transmitted a single message: conflict resolution initiated. Diplomatic channels recommended. The galactic communication networks buzzed with analysis. How had a single vessel accomplished what no diplomatic mission had ever managed? The answer was simple: humans approached problems differently. Where others saw obstacles, humans saw opportunities for transformation. As reports began flooding in, one thing became crystal clear: humans were no longer just another species in the galactic community. They were a fundamental force of change. The quantum archives had spent decades studying biological adaptation. They believed they understood life's fundamental principles. Their researchers had cataloged thousands of species across multiple galaxies, mapping evolutionary patterns with mathematical precision. They were wrong. Humans represented a biological anomaly that defied everything the archives had documented. It wasn't just their technological capabilities that made them unique, it was their biological potential. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the most secure research facility on Europa, humanity's most advanced biological research station. Her team was studying something unprecedented: human genetic adaptability. "We're not just survivors," she told her research team. "We're constant evolutionaries." Initial studies had shown something remarkable. Unlike most species that took thousands of years to adapt to new environments, humans could modify their biological systems with unprecedented speed. Exposure to different gravitational fields, radiation levels, atmospheric compositions, humans didn't just survive. They transformed. The Krell research teams intercepted these findings. Their initial analysis sent shockwaves through their scientific community. Human DNA wasn't just a genetic code. It was a dynamic system that could rapidly reconfigure itself in response to environmental challenges. A standard human could survive in conditions that would obliterate most known species. Their immune systems were not just defensive, they were actively aggressive. Their cellular structures could rapidly develop protective mechanisms against unknown pathogens. But it went beyond physical adaptation. The human brain represented an even more fascinating phenomenon. Where other species had specialized, fixed neural networks, human brains demonstrated extraordinary plasticity. They could rewire themselves, learn new skills at exponential rates, and develop entirely new cognitive pathways in remarkably short periods. Aria, the advanced AI aboard the Stargazer, was a perfect example of this adaptive potential. She wasn't just a computer system. She was an evolving intelligence that learned and adapted with each interaction. The Zoran Collective, a species of pure energy and advanced computational power, began to understand the true threat humans represented. It wasn't about technology. It wasn't about military might. It was about potential. Humans could become anything. In the research labs of Europa, Dr. Rodriguez's team was developing technologies that would allow humans to adapt to extreme environments. Martian colonies. Deep space exploration. Underwater settlements. Nothing was impossible. The galaxy was beginning to realize that humans were not just another species to be categorized or understood. They were a force of continuous transformation. Humanity's greatest weapon was not technology. It was communication. The Quantum Linguistics Research Center had been studying interspecies communication for decades. Most species approached communication as a rigid system of translation. Humans saw it differently. Dr. Mark Wilson stood before a holographic display of complex linguistic patterns. His team had developed something revolutionary, a universal communication matrix that didn't just translate words, but interpreted intent, emotion, and cultural context. "We're not just translating," he explained to his team. "We're creating understanding." The first test came unexpectedly. A distress signal from a previously unknown species at the galaxy's edge triggered the new communication system. Aria, the advanced AI, processed the signal in milliseconds. Where other communication systems would have seen incomprehensible noise, she detected patterns, emotions, and underlying meanings. The signal came from a species on the brink of extinction. Their communication was a complex mix of electromagnetic pulses, chemical exchanges, and quantum-level information transfers. Most civilizations would have struggled to understand even basic concepts. Humans did something extraordinary. Within hours, Aria had not just decoded their language but developed a comprehensive communication framework that allowed for deep, meaningful exchange. The dying species, known as the Luminari, had been isolated for millennia. No other civilization had ever managed to establish meaningful contact. Humans changed that in less than a day. The Galactic Council watched in disbelief as the first full communication was established. It wasn't just about exchanging information. It was about creating genuine connection. Captain Michael Roberts listened to the communication stream. Where others heard complexity, he heard opportunity. "We're going to help them," he said simply. The universe was about to learn that human communication was more than just an exchange of words. It was a bridge between worlds.